more followers. Several women from the United Kingdom have left the UK in pursuit of joining ISIS. Details just ahead.
Later, the terror continues. The Mall of America has been threatened by members of Al-Shabaab. Security in malls all around the US is increasing. More on that later.
Plus, we're bringing you a new series of interviews featuring Marist faces you've all heard of, but probably haven't seen. Tonight, John Gildard joins us, so you won't want to miss this.
Welcome to MCTV News Live. Today is February 24th, 2015. I'm Matt McNamara.
And I'm Christian Hopt. The Obama administration may be reconsidering its plans to withdraw from Afghanistan soil by the end of 2016. In a news conference with Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter stated that U.S. troops might remain in Afghanistan longer than initially planned in order to maintain the country's security. In an interview with CBS's 60 Minutes, President Ghani had stated that timelines should be subjective to the current situation and feels that Afghanistan still needs U.S. assistance. Carter and Ghani will discuss these stipulations during Carter's trip, where he hopes to, quote, better understand America's role in Afghanistan.
The Department of Homeland Security faces a potential shutdown if Congress fails to provide funds. The impact, according to Homeland Security Secretary Jed Johnson, grant programs would have to be suspended, affecting about 30,000 staff members. Workers, including border security, law enforcement officers, and the Coast Guard, would be temporarily laid off. Even so, Johnson said approximately 80% of the Homeland Security workers would be required to come into work without pay during that time. Resorting to a shutdown would mean dropping Johnson's goal to, quote, stay one step ahead of the tracking of the weather, cyber attacks, and most importantly, terrorist groups.
As Marist students, we all get these mass emails sent from top administrators telling us how to check priority points, where to move our car, or to attend a resume facelift. It's the same people sending these emails each week. We know the names, but not so much the faces. MCTV News wants to change that. Last night, Peter sat down with a Marist figure especially prominent earlier this semester, John Gildard, the director of security for Marist College, told him the facts about on-campus parking, alcohol use, and all those snow days. Here's a bit of their interview.
Nice, we got it. Channel 5, 6, you want to unmute and so.
Nice.
Was a senior, and he was quite as witty and charming then as he is today. I graduated in 1974, went to work for the City of Poughkeepsie Police Department. Worked there for 23 years. So that's it, right? Like I say, very short resume, 2 jobs, 1 wife. Not anything at all. There you go. That's great, and congratulations on the 13 years being in that director position. It seems you came to Marist and stepped away, and then you came back full circle, yeah. Well, with all of that expansion that you've seen, you know, more people, more parking. I wanted to get started with that because a lot of my friends do get frustrated with the parking situation all across campus. And so with the snow going on and the construction and the science building, how do you prioritize where people need to park versus how the snow has to get cleaned? Tell me about that process. Well, we laid sports that you have, the closer you get to your residence hall.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. If you want to see the full interview, it's on our YouTube page. Anyways, Senator John McCain has expressed that he is ashamed of the United States. In a statement made Sunday, Senator McCain said that after the way that the U.S. handled the issue with Russia and the Ukraine, he said, quote, I'm ashamed of my country, I'm ashamed of my president, and I'm ashamed of myself that I haven't done more to help these people. McCain is attempting to push President Obama to provide help to the Ukrainians against the Russians in the form of providing military supplies. Obama has yet to make a decision on this topic.
New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is struggling to stay out of the limelight. Once considered for a presidential run in 2016, a new report indicates that Christie is suffering in the polls. He has also been known to accept gifts. He will address New Jersey on its financial state today. No official plans have been made to run have been announced. But some supporters say it takes more than money to win in the upcoming Iowa caucuses.
Greece is preparing a list of reforms to present to European lenders in order to secure a 4-month extension on their bailout. With these reforms, Greece will attempt to recover $8.3 billion of their $380 billion debt. The 3 main creditors in the European Union will examine the plan on Tuesday. Many Eurozone members, including Germany, are skeptical that the effects of austerity in Greece can be reversed. But Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras is confident that it will be, quote, important negotiation success.
We are all guilty of taking a few mental health days in high school, but this game of hooky is far worse than calling in sick. 3 teenage girls didn't show up to school. Instead, they got together and booked a flight to Turkey. The goal? Joining ISIS. This isn't the first instance of young people leaving to join the terrorist organization. A 17-year-old Australian boy was recently seen standing among beheaded victims.
All right, guys, it's almost March and it's still ridiculously freezing outside. Is it ever going to be warm again?
Honestly, I don't think so. I've been walking around. I saw some kid in like shorts up to like his waist, and I'm covered in a coat and like 3 different sort of scarves, and I'm freezing to death. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
It's so cold, I finally caved in to buy a winter coat. I was trying to put it off this whole winter, and I finally, just this cold weather has taken me to it.
It's just too much. Haley Breen is here to tell us the facts with the weekly highs and lows report.
Virus was discovered that researchers believe to have killed a man in Kansas last year. The disease, called the bourbon virus, seems to be carried by ticks. A research team noted that the man was previously healthy while working outdoors on his property in Kansas when he came in contact with ticks and one embedded on his shoulder. The man's kidneys began to fail and he passed away 11 days later. Tests for all types of infections were run, but they all came back negative. The Center for Disease Control thinks that the virus has been present for a while, but research will continue when the weather is warmer. People are advised to avoid ticks by wearing insect repellent and long sleeves when outdoors.
The United States is not the only nation in the midst of a vaccine debate. Now the toddler has died in Germany. An 18-month-old boy died of measles, says Berlin Health Senator Mario Zaya. Germany has had nearly 600 reported cases of measles, this year making it the worst outbreak in a decade and sparking controversy over the use of measles vaccinations. While there are some critics of vaccinations, professionals say a vaccination is safe and recommend it as a preventive measure, while it is often not compulsory.
When something is broken, we tend to get frustrated and simply replace it. The Poughkeepsie Repair Cafe is striving to fix that, literally. What started as a group of volunteers helping each other, quote, bring old items back to life, has turned into a Poughkeepsie phenomenon. Volunteers with any skill set come in to help others fix broken items free of charge. The amount of volunteers has now nearly doubled, and the idea is spreading across the country, nearing 700 venues each year. If you're interested in getting involved, just show up on a Saturday morning at St. Mary's Church with some tools and a smile.
When Peshmerga fighters fighting ISIS in Iraq need help repairing their weapons, there is a man in Erbil who knows how to fix guns older than himself. CNN's Ben Weidman has a story.
Fixes the aging weapons the Peshmerga, the Kurdish military force in northern Iraq, used to fight ISIS. This Soviet-era machine gun is older than he is, he explains, and is jamming after 4 or 5 bullets. He's been at the job since he was a child. This picture taken when he worked in his father's workshop back in 1990.
In the more than 25 years Bakhtiar has been in this business, he's never met a weapon he couldn't fix.
47-year-old Peshmerga fighter Natif has come from the front lines near Kirkuk. Easy things we can fix ourselves, he says. Bigger problems we bring here. Bakhtiar makes house or rather trench calls, regularly traveling to the front lines to repair, free of charge, damaged or malfunctioning guns. Business picked up dramatically last summer when ISIS seized nearby Mosul and threatened Erbil, and hasn't let up since. Before I was working every day from 9 to 4, he says. I finished early every single day. No more. Now the workshop echoes with the clatter of gun repair. That is, when he's not peering down the barrel of machine guns and pistols to check their sights. His hardest task today is repairing a shrapnel-pocked US-made M16, which tells a story in itself. He says it belonged to the Iraqi army, then fell into the hands of ISIS fighters when the army fled Mosul. It was damaged and its last owner killed in a coalition airstrike. Soon it will be working again, this time aimed at ISIS. Ben Wiedemann, CNN, Erbil, northern Iraq.
This to host a Night to Shine event for 2016.
Beer drinkers, say goodbye to the well-known clink of a toast. Carlsberg is making a shift to be more eco-friendly by developing the world's first fully biodegradable beer bottle. Glass and aluminum bottles might become a thing of the past for the company, who plans to use sustainable wood fiber as its new packaging source. Don't worry, these new bottles will still carry the same shelf life. Carlsberg drinkers will simply have to sacrifice those clear, hard bottles. This is a step for Carlsberg to better achieve itself in a, quote, circular zero-waste economy. Continue your incitement, though, because the product will be under production for another 3 years. So what do you think about this? I mean, it's kind of a random story, but at the same time, it is kind of pertinent to us as college kids.
Well, I'm glad they're actually doing something to recycle these beer cans, because I don't think the freshman on my floor just throwing it in the showers is the most environmentally safe.
It's a bit of a hazard, so to speak, for us as human beings, but also for the earth itself. I'm fine with it regardless.
Yeah.
Well, you can't talk about beer without bringing up sports.
Ben Hayes is here with this week's Sports Jam. Hey, Ben.
Thanks, guys. This week has sure been an eventful one in the sports world, even locally here at Marist College. I'm Ben Hayes, here to bring you this week's Sports Jam. The Marist College baseball team, or Ball Foxes as they like to be called, started their 2015 season this past weekend by traveling down south to play a 3-game series against the #1 team in the country, the University of Virginia. Despite getting swept and losing all 3 games to the Cavaliers, Marist definitely showed some potential for this season. In the 3rd game of the series, sophomore right-hander Tyler Dearden pitched a gem, allowing only 3 hits and 2 runs in his 5 1/3 inning start. Dearden would receive a no decision for this because this game ended up going a total of 18 innings, which is the equivalent to exactly 2 full games. Marist lost this game 5-4, but still had some very tremendous outings, including senior right-handed pitcher Chris Napolitano, who pitched 8 1/3 innings in the extra frames without giving up a single run and yielding only 5 hits. Another star of the game was junior outfielder Graham McIntyre, who went 5 for 8 on the day, including a 2-run homer in the 7th inning, which ended up being the last runs Marist would score on the day. Marist baseball will travel south of the Mason-Dixon line again this Thursday as they take on the University of North Carolina at Charlotte in another 3-game series. Best of luck to the guys. In national news, the NBA trade deadline came and went last Thursday, but not without sending the entire league into a frenzy. In fact, almost every single NBA team was at the very least involved in a major headline. Out of all of these transactions, perhaps the most interesting one was that the Minnesota Timberwolves went out and traded for power forward Kevin Garnett, who played for the Wolves 8 years ago before being traded to Boston. KG won the MVP award in 2004 as the star of the Timberwolves and was arguably the best player in the NBA then. Now, however, he is nothing but a shell of what he once was. The Big Ticket, as he was once called, is now averaging just 6 points per game and only seeing the court for 20 minutes each contest. On top of that, Minnesota traded one of their best players in order to get Garnett, forward Thaddeus Young, who is averaging 14 points per game. This is clearly an attempt to accomplish 2 things. 1, Minnesota wants to see KG retire in their uniform so as to make sure he enters the Hall of Fame as a member of the Timberwolves. And 2, Minnesota wants to lose as many games as possible so that they can secure a better draft pick and hopefully take Jahlil Okafor out of Duke. Minnesota does have a good chance to finish in last place, but they currently have the 3rd worst record in the NBA, right with the Knicks, the Lakers, and the 76ers. And in what seems to have become the era of tanking, the Timberwolves will need to compete with the best of them to be the best at losing, because who doesn't love rooting for losers? That's this week's Sports Jam. I'm Ben Hayes. Back to you guys.
Looking for a new ride? Apple is planning to release its electric car by the year 2020. Though the announcement is not quite official just yet, Apple is planning to have production started on these cars within the next few years. The number of employees assigned to this project has grown to 200 people in the past few months, including former CEO of Mercedes-Benz, Johan Jungwirth. Apple has also been in negotiations with Tesla to try and acquire some of their technology to develop the cars, and predicts that autonomous vehicles will be used everywhere and anywhere by 2026, making this science fiction of fantasy a reality.
Have you noticed the fashion majors at Marist are a little more excited than usual recently? That's because it is now in the middle of the runway shows for the next season. New York Fashion Week concluded on Thursday with many celebrities and models such as Tim Gunn and Alec Baldwin battling the cold temperatures to view the shows. But now, London is the center of attention with over 200 designers of all kinds showing until tomorrow. Then the attention moves to Milan and Paris for some of the better-known houses like Dior and Chanel preparing to show.
It's a sad day for early Disney Channel fans everywhere, as former child star Hilary Duff announced that she will be divorcing from her husband, hockey player Mike Comrie. The couple have been separated for a little over a year, but they still spend time together and help each other in taking care of their 2-year-old son, Luca. Duff cited irreconcilable differences as part of the divorce, and requested that she have primary custody of their son. According to TMZ, many fans have wished Duff well on social media, and she's expressed thanks to her fans on Twitter. With the very long Oscars in recent memory, it may be hard to remember all of the best moments.
I have no doubt that our entertainment expert, Andrew Auger, has the best parts of the show outlined in this week in entertainment. What's up, Andrew?
Hey everyone, this is This Week in Entertainment. This past weekend celebrated a very special piece of annual film history, a prestigious award show dedicated to honoring films of a certain quality. I, of course, am referring to the 35th Annual Golden Raspberry Awards, which celebrate the worst films of each year with the reckless randomness of Nicolas Cage's career. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, his film Left Behind was nominated for Worst Picture, along with The Legend of Hercules, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Transformers: Age of Extinction. Ultimately, they all fell to Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas, which won 4 awards on the night. Cameron Diaz won Worst Actress for The Other Woman / Sex Tape, Megan Fox won Worst Supporting Actress for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Ben Affleck redeemed himself from past Razzie wins with his work in Gone Girl, Argo, and for landing the role of Sad Batman. Now, the Razzies have always been the definitive voice of the people, but as usual, I have questions. First, why don't they televise this and make attendance mandatory? There's not a single thing I want more in the world than to watch Megan Fox cry because she finds out her work is subpar. Also, what is a Kirk Cameron? Am I vaccinated for that? Should I consult my doctor if I have Kirk Cameron for more than 48 hours? I gotta call my physician. Anyway, what else important happened this week? Oh, yeah, the Oscars were on. Although if I consulted Twitter yesterday, all that happened is Lady Gaga slayed The Sound of Music, and John Travolta literally tried to rip Idina Menzel's face off. John, that movie was 18 years ago, man, and she's a real person. Let it go. No pun intended. Oh, Birdman won Best Picture if you're wondering, which is good because you should see it. Moving on to things you can see in theaters right now, 50 Shades of Grey held on to the top spot at the box office, but had one of the biggest second weekend drops in history, going from 85 million to 22 million. Kingsman was second with 18 million, while newcomers McFarlane USA, The Duff, and Hot Tub Time Machine 2 disappointed in 4th, 5th, and 7th, respectively. This weekend sees Olivia Wilde in supernatural horror film The Lazarus Effect and the Will Smith Margot Robbie crime comedy Focus. That'll do it for entertainment this week. I'm Andrew Auger, and that's all I have to say. You can catch my show, The Middle Seats, winter, spring, summer, or fall, only on MCTV. Back to you guys.
Minnesota's Mall of America has recently been targeted by the Somali-based terrorist group Al-Shabaab. The group urged its followers to target large shopping centers in the US, Canada, and the UK. Al-Shabaab had attacked the Westgate shopping mall in Nairobi in 2013, resulting in the death of 67 people. Specifically, the terrorist group wants to target, quote, American or Jewish-owned Western shopping centers. In the video released by terrorist group, they gave specific coordinates to the malls in the aforementioned nations. UK police acknowledge the video and are assessing the contents. Some of the malls have issued statements saying that they were implementing additional security measures.
Ever thought of what it would be like if you lived in the past? A 4-year-old boy named Luke Ruhlman claims that he has done just that. According to the boy, in a previous life, he was an African-American woman named Pam Robinson who died in a hotel fire in Chicago in 1933. The family had never been to Chicago before, and none of them had never heard of someone named Pam Robinson. But a little internet research suggests that there was a woman named Pam Robinson who jumped from a window to her death during a building fire in Chicago. Talk about creepy. That's all the news that's new tonight. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Matt McNamara.
And I'm Christian Haupt. Good night.